Hundreds of thousands of bones were found in a cave. Who did the bones belong to? And what had happened inside this cave? Danyang, Chungcheongbuk-do Province. There is a cave halfway up Samtaesan Mountain. The existence of Kunangur Cave was made known to the world when a teacher saw his students playing with bone fragments. Inside the cave, there are still many bone fragments of which we know nothing about its origins. In 1986, experts who took part in the excavation were unable to hide their excitement. Kunangur Cave was perfectly preserved without any damage. Also, a great amount of animal bones that show us the fauna of the time were excavated. But there was something strange. 90% of the bones that were excavated belonged to one animal. It was a deer. Why were there so much deer bones in Kunangur Cave? Even the condition of the deer bones raised questions. The middle of the joints were cut off or broken abnormally. Were they injuries from a powerful predator? There were even severe abrasions and deep cuts on the bones. These were not injuries that could have been inflicted by animals. They had to have been made by someone more intelligent. Who could have done this? The answer was found in Kunangur Cave. Tools such as hand cleavers and scrapers were unearthed. Traces of humankind. Small amounts of charcoal were also found. The intelligent and calculating hunters were humans. During the Paleolithic era, people usually hunted deer, and Kunangur Cave could have been a slaughterhouse that butchered the hunted deer. There seems to have been a certain rule in hunting deer. Most of the bones belong to young deer under 1 year old, or old deer over 10 years old. This means that Paleolithic people hunted deer that were weak or no longer breeding. Kunangur Cave could have been a base camp used by hunters during the Paleolithic era. Even now, excavations are continuing at Kunangur Cave. The traces of the Paleolithic people that lived hundreds of thousands of years ago in Kunangur Cave begins now. This cave has kept a secret story for thousands of years. A story from a long, long time ago, before history was ever written. A story about the people who first stepped into this cave. What story will the cave tell us? Durubong, Cheongwon, Chungcheongbuk-do Province. Ever since mines were first developed in this region in the 1960s, over 2/3 of the mountain has been carved away. But one day in 1982, a man named Kim Hung-soo, who had been scouring the area around Durubong to mine for limestone, made an amazing discovery. Inside a cave, he found two remains of what seemed to be young children. One of the remains was missing its bones from the chest up, but the other remains were found nearly intact. Named after the man who discovered it, the child was named the Hung-soo child. What clue do the bones found inside the cave tell us? As the excavation progressed, the child's identity was revealed. The child was 115 centimeters tall and assumed to be around the age of 5. The child was presumed to have died during the Paleolithic era 40,000 years ago. He took his last breath before his permanent teeth came out. The gender was indistinguishable, but it was the moment that a Paleolithic child that lived 40,000 years ago came out into the world. Then, how similar is the Paleolithic child to modern-day people? Academic circles believe that the Hung-soo child is a direct ancestor of humankind. Once the face was reconstructed, the child had a striking resemblance to the children of the present. There is another reason why the Hung-soo child has captured our interest after 40,000 years. Despite the hundreds of thousands of years that had passed, the child was found lying down in a perfectly arranged position. So the question arises, could this have been a coincidence? Let's take a look at the time of the excavation. A large flat stone lied underneath 10 centimeters of fine soil, over which the child was placed. Also, a great amount of pollen was detected in the soil near the child's chest. Why was the pollen found only on the chest? And what could it mean? The pollen was from chrysanthemums, but the environment around the cave is unsuitable for chrysanthemums to grow. Then where did the chrysanthemums that were found over the child's chest come from? Perhaps the parents of the child picked the flowers from afar and laid it over its chest as they mourned for their child. The Hung-soo child's short life came to an end on an autumn day when chrysanthemums bloomed, and the people who mourned the death of a child laid flowers at the grave. The Hung-soo child is proof of a love that existed 40,000 years ago.